Good. Hi, welcome to our 30th lock-in series.
31st. No, you're right. I'll
30th.
correct you every single time. But
I
yeah,
got it
it's
right
30.
today, and he still tries to correct me. Yeah, just like to say this is the 30th lock-in series of Series 3. Okay, and one of the things that I would like to say is welcome Michael from who's that company? Is it Multipanel? I'm sure it's Multipanel. Sorry.
Panel.
Yeah. I'd just like to welcome Multipanel. Welcome to us. And how's Scotland? Is it still as windy and rainy up there?
It's very stormy, wet, miserable. So
Good.
just pretty normal.
Good. Okay. And I met Michael about 3 years ago at the and his MD at the CIH National Conference up in Manchester, and Paul and Anthony was with me. And 3 years ago, I was not a fan of Multipanel. I thought a bit of plastic on the wall, you have got to be joking. I'm a tile man. And they kind of collared me. They knew who LNPG was. I said, come over and have a look. So I said, just not a fan. And they said, look, you come up to ours at our expense, and I bet you will be. So we had a 50 quid bet on it. So I went up. I had to be doing the pin Edinburgh, and I went up and spent a day there. And I got there, and there was one car parking space. So I nipped in there, and he parked in the MD's her actual parking space. She was not happy, ranting and raving. Who's parked in my car? And it was me. And that was my introduction to Multipanel. And I was impressed. And we kind of put a bit of a deal together. Nothing to write home at, because I wasn't a big advert of it. And I've used it myself. And I'm really impressed, because it still looks like the same kind of, it hasn't moved, it hasn't deteriorated like tiles does, and the grout, and it still looks as fresh today as it did the day I put it in. So we've done a deal, and we kind of played with the idea, and I said, no, I'm really impressed with it. Sales have gone through the roof. So I've invited Michael to come on and talk to us today and give us his concept of panel and do a bit of a spiel on Multipanel, because there are other makes, and I've looked at their makes and I think they ain't that good. And Multipanel isn't plastic. That's the first thing I would say. So I would just like to say, welcome, Michael. Thanks for coming on and talking to our members and giving them a little bit of insight about Multipanel. That's all I've really got to say. Could have said that thinking in 2 words, but hey ho.
No, thanks, Nick, and thanks everyone for the invite and for attending. As you say, probably a bit skeptical to begin with, and but we're pleased we've got to this stage, and I'm sure that a lot of people that are logging in tonight have got some of the same perceptions that Nick had about what wall paneling is and what it does or doesn't do. And others may have thought about it but just not tried it. So there's a lot of content that we've prepared for you tonight. Hopefully you'll find it valuable, and it'll talk through some of the reasons that Nick saw, along with thousands of other people every month, as to the benefits of multi-panel over tiling. So let me just share my screen and I'll start to pull up the slides. Okay, dokes. So I'm going to assume that there's a mixed level of awareness and knowledge of what multi-panel bathroom wall panels are. It's going to break it right down to what the material is, how it works, how you fit it, what makes it so simple, and why you would use it, what the benefits are from a landlord perspective. And then we're going to wrap that section up with a bit of a cost comparison versus tiling. Then we'll move on to how to order. I've seen some dialogue on the on the Facebook channel just about where do I get prices, where do I order with Zley. So we'll go through that process a little bit, and then we're going to talk a little bit about design inspiration, our premium collections, and some of the tools that we've got to help you visualize what your bathroom would look like in your rental property or private development, and gain some inspiration from our design partner, Linda Barker. We're going to finish off with a couple of announcements and things that we're going to be introducing very soon. So a bit of a sort of advance notice exclusively for LNPG tonight. And we'll wrap up with your questions. From what I've seen on the Facebook channel, there's a good level of interest. So hopefully there's a lot of questions to answer as we finish up. But just on the screen just now, you'll see obviously a before and after. And before I even get into any detail, why would you upgrade from tiles to multi-panel? And you see something that probably looked, someone was probably delighted with when that was fitted in 1989 or something like that. But then you see that the grout discolors, and you end up with something that looks unhygienic, looks unpleasant. And if you were changing over tenants, would you be happy with what you see on the left, or would they be happy more to the point in moving into that property? Multi-panel just covers that up or replaces the tile with something that's going to last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And to Nick's point, it'll look exactly the same those 20, 30, 40 years on as it does the day you install it. You won't see this kind of change. So we'll talk about the benefits and how you use it, but just to give a bit of context, Nick made a good point. This is not plastic paneling. This is not a budget alternative and something to just do a quick refurb with. It is quick and it is cost effective, but it's not sort of budget material. You'll see there from the image, it is best quality exterior grade plywood core material. It's our requirements on plywood actually exceed British standards for the flatness that's required to ensure zero delamination, and for the flatness and no kinks along the edge of the plywood to get the precision of joint that you see there. And that's called our hydrolock joint, which locks two panels together so that you can barely see the joint with the laminate on the laminate surface. So talking about that high pressure laminate surface, that's what makes it so appealing from an end user perspective. Easy to clean, no grout, nowhere for mold to gather, more hygienic, but it's also laminate versus a PVC, a plastic finish, which is glossy and shiny. With laminate, you can get all sorts of really nice textures that complement the printed design. So you end up with something that really strongly replicates concrete or marble or timber with the relevant texture. And with that hydrolock connection, as you on the FSC certified plywood core there, it's not only about making it as discreet as possible visually from the surface, it's about the engineering that's gone into that to make it as easy as possible to install. And you will achieve that level of flush surface finish, even if the walls are uneven by up to 6 millimeters. So it's market leading for a number of reasons, but the ease of installation and best results every time is all around the engineering and that hydrolock joint on the best quality plywood. So that's it. It's robust, it's design led, it's easy to clean. So I'm just going to talk through this animation just now, which for those who have never come across wall paneling, or maybe have but have some grey areas or misconceptions about how it's fitted, This is how it's done. So this shows it fitting over a bath. It would be very similar to a shower tray. You've got timbers there. Equally, it could go onto plasterboard or even on top of tiles for a quick refurb, so long as they're sound. There's a bath and shower seal profile there, a PVC profile, that if there's any movement in the floorboard, if it's an old one, it means that that profile moves with it, but the silicone seal remains in place. So really safe base profile for your product over a bath or shower tray. You then see an aluminium profile in the corner there. You silicone seal the channels there. Your 8 foot by 4 foot panels are then bonded to the wall, plasterboard, frame, tiles with our high grab adhesive. And you saw them interlocking there with our hydro lock. And it's pretty much as easy as that. Bond it on, you hydro lock your way around the room, use cap and profiles, corner profiles at the ends, seal the base, and as quickly as that, you've got a really modern bathroom. So that's a bit of an overview of the system and how it works, how you waterproof it. A multi-panel really is disrupting the tile market. More and more people are realising the benefits, that not just multi-panel wall paneling as a whole, but multi-panel lead that. And some of the reasons are, obviously it's 100% waterproof surface, otherwise you wouldn't see it in showers or over baths. But it's not just a waterproof surface. There's no grout. There's nowhere for mold to gather, which means there's reduced snagging. You fit it, and we'll go through the time and cost comparison. But you're done in half a day. It really is as quick and easy as that. The laminate surface, as we said, gives that design feature, but it removes the dependency on your tenant to keep the bathroom walls clean. So it means increased life cycle from your investment in your bathroom walls and less hassle when you've got to turn the property around for a new tenant. And in terms of the size of the product, I mentioned 8x4, or in metric 2400 by 12mm is the standard full width panel, and it's the sheer size of it that makes it so quick to install. At least a third of the time it takes to tile, and it can be a lot quicker than that. There's also a narrower panel, which if you've got HMOs or tight stairwells, can be really popular, and that hydro lock joint just ensures that you'll get this discreet finish even with more joints around the room. But in the last 12 months, that narrower panel's become more popular because of social distancing and the need for one person installs. It's a little bit easier, obviously, to handle a 2 foot wide panel than a 4 foot wide. So that's about the wall panel product in general. Multi-panel has been around for about 17 years. Prior to that, Grant Westfield has been manufacturing washroom interior products for 40 or 50 years, based up in Edinburgh, as you can gather from the accent, distributing all across the UK through 9 of our own regional distribution centres. So we've got to 45% market share, and here are some of the key reasons for that. The FSC certified plywood core is really key to that. The FSC part is really important to our business to ensure that we manufacture responsibly and we source our raw material responsibly, and that in specified product you've got the assurance that it's sustainably sourced. But it's not just about that. It's about the material itself versus PVC, which really just is nowhere near as durable as the plywood core in our multi-panel product. You get MDF core products, not as suitable for environments that are exposed to moisture as exterior grade plywood is, and most trusted by the trades, used to screwing into it, used to cutting it. It makes life very easy. The other element with plywood given that it's at 9mm thick, and then with high pressure laminate either side to make 11mm overall, it's that overall product then is actually structural as well as waterproof and decorative. And that becomes really important when you strip off tiles and take half the plasterboard with you. When you're retiling, you're going to need to re-plasterboard. Because of the structural makeup of multi-panel, you can put that straight onto the timber stud. So that's part of what makes it such a cost-effective refurb. Then we get on to Hydrolock, our connection between the panels that differentiates. I mentioned that market-leading 6mm tolerance for fitting over imperfect walls. When are walls ever perfect, right? So we engineered it that could withstand those kind of site conditions and still give best results. Next best on the market is 4mm, independently tested. And then it's got to look good. I've been with the business 15 years, and I can tell you that some of the designs and decors that were around 15 years ago maybe didn't fall into that category. But we've grown and invested at that time, as has the whole wall panel category, as has the laminate industry. So the aesthetics that you get now are fantastic. The combination of the right printed decor and paired with the right kind of texture gives fantastic results. And that was reinforced and endorsed by the partnership that was created with the celebrity interior designer Linda Barker a few years ago. And we'll show a little bit more about Linda's range and some of her design tips later on in the slides here. We've complemented that last year. We did our first ever virtual remote product launched in the middle of the pandemic with our neutrals collection that has 5 sort of modern neutral tones that are designed to be able to pair with the stronger, bolder decors from our Linda Barker classic and heritage collections that allow you to create really nice combinations all around the bathroom. So that's a little bit about what the product is and why you would use it, having seen how it's installed. So now we get down to the nuts and bolts of it. I've seen a few comments on the Facebook page that it's expensive material. So I just wanted to really break this down. And these are real figures summarized from a detailed comparison that we recently undertook for a housing association. And let's just jump down to material because I was mentioning that. So for this area around a recessed bath, 3 sides, you're looking at £311 for the panels. I'll make a qualification here that from this cost comparison, we've removed adhesive, grout, and the vertical profiles because they work out pretty similar between multi-panel and tiling. So that's for your panels alone, £311. For the tiles, based on £10 a square metre, you're paying £80. You also need a replacement bath panel. With multi-panel, you can use offcuts for the bath panel and continue the loop from wall down to the front of your bath. And in this particular case, there was, as will be the case in a lot of upgrades, there was a requirement to go and buy new plasterboard. Why? Because of this. So this is the state of what was behind when the tiles came off. The plasterboard absolutely sodden because water had penetrated the grout. Once the sodden plasterboard came off, you'll see on the right here the state of the stud-work that was sodden as well. When we look at the breakdown from arriving on site at 8 o'clock on day 1, the first hour for both tiles and multi-panel was room preparation, stripping off the tiles, finding what was left behind. And then for the next 2.5 hours on the tile version, had to go to the merchant, buy some plasterboard, come back and repair and prepare the wall for the tiles. Meanwhile, multi-panel can be fitted to the stud was done so, and by the time they were ready to fit the tiles at 11:30, the multi-panel element of the job was done. 4.5 hours was then taken to fit the screen and furniture, and then seal up. 15 minutes or half an hour, sorry, to clean up at the end of the job. And 4:30, the multi-panel element was done and dusted, allowing the fitter to go and enjoy their evening, and on day 2 move on to the next job. By the time the tiles were fitted, the multi-panel was done, everything else was done, and tradesmen away. So then there was an hour to wait for the rapid set adhesive to dry and remove the spacers, and then another hour for grouting. So with the cleanup, that takes it to 7 o'clock, pretty long day. And then coming back in the morning to, a bit of time to unpack tools, polish the tiles, and then the same 4.5 hours to do everything that was done in the afternoon of day 1 with multi-panel. Clean up, and then 1:30 on day 2, the tiling job's done. On this comparison, we've used £30 per hour for both for consistency. So, apart from the obvious difference in time, which is 8 hours on this, from paying more for the material, you're actually ending up with a saving of £104. And what I'll say about this comparison is it's very generous to circumstance around tiling. Someone might not want to wait until 7 o'clock at night, so it might be day 2 before grouting, and then you've got additional time for that. So typically it could go into day 3, and you could be looking at half a day versus 2.5 type of thing. So that £104, call it 100 quid, is for roughly 8 square meters. So £12.50 per square meter saved. We've also done similar comparisons where the grouting hasn't been done same day. Real comparisons that have saved up to £30 a square meter. So 2.5 times the saving. So basically a takeaway from this, apart from all of this carnage that that is uncovered once the tiles were stripped off, is a range of between £100 to £250 saving per bathroom. So the material's expensive, perception. Well, it's a reality. I'm showing it. It's expensive by comparison to £10 a square metre tiles. Worth the investment? If you're not going to have to go through this every time you need to upgrade. We believe so, and that's why multi-panel is growing so much and so fast.
I think we should point out as well that yes, it's expensive. It's incredibly less so if you're an LNPG member, which is why you're here today, Michael. I've got quite a few questions that have sort of come in on the technical aspects of multi-panel. Sure. Probably now's the best time to go through those. So on the last slide, you mentioned the sizes written as 2400 by 1200 at 8x4. Are they actually 2440 and 1220 as most panels this size are?
No, they're trimmed down 2400 and 1200.
Okay, so they're exact. So you've sort of answered this next question, which is, can you install directly to the wall timbers? I take it from this explanation that you can. But how does that work with metal stud work? Do you need to slot wood in to glue it to, or can it go directly to the metal?
With metal, it would depend on the type of adhesive. So you're better to put timber stud on or plasterboard on top. They're more suitable for bonding directly onto.
I'm glad that you brought up adhesive, because there was another question here somewhere. Here we go. The grab adhesive you recommend is quite expensive. Is it possible to use alternatives successfully? And do you still guarantee the product if the alternatives are used?
So our guarantee is a good point, and I'm going to come on actually. We've got some news on that front. But the guarantee is linked to the use of our high grab adhesive. You can get similar results from any high grab adhesive, but the product simply can't be warranted with any adhesive, because people will use a budget silicon sealant which is not designed to hold a 25 kilo wall panel. So in answer to the question, 2 points to answer that question. One, other high grab adhesives will do the same job. The use of the multi-panel high grab adhesive is linked to the warranty.
Okay. Makes sense. Can they be used for bath panels as well?
Yes, absolutely. Because of that structural element, they're very robust. You've got the 9mm exterior grade plywood core. So yes, and in that example here, and how you see the wall panel in the finished state, if you're just fitting the panels above the bath and the panels are 2.4 meters high, floor to ceiling, then your offcut is perfect for just using under the bath on the bath panel.
This is an interesting one. I've never seen this asked before actually, but can it be used in kitchens?
It's used extensively in kitchens. Its primary and intended use is in the bathroom, but it's a very effective splashback, being waterproof and being heat resistant, and its hygienic properties. What I would say, we often get asked about use directly behind the hob, and you're better to either put some glass or stainless steel over it, or if you do use it behind the hob, or stop it behind the hob. Laminate will withstand up to 180 degrees C surface temperature, but the unknown quantities are the likes of a pan that's left on the heat and gets knocked back, and then you've got the direct heat from the pan going onto the surface, which is not designed to do. There's also, it gets onto fire retardancy. So I would say splashback, yes, and hob, put something in front of it.
Okay. And one final question then. We've got a couple more, but I'll save a few for later as well. Quite a few people are asking about cutting it down to size. So how easy is that? Do you need special saws? As much information as you can give us, really.
Yeah, it's really easy to work with, and a circular saw will do the job. And yeah, it's as simple as that. Just measure twice cuts, kind of thing. There are full. You can use other tools. You can even use a handsaw for it. If you had a 900mm tray, we can supply it at that size. But there are full installation guidelines that we can share even on the LNPG site, that just confirm which way up to cut it, depending on the type of blade and tool that you're using. So we'll make sure we get that shared.
Well, Lolly's written in the chat, sort of answering the question as well, saying super easy, like a knife through butter, and she's put a little smiley face as well, and it's quite menacing, I think, that as a sentence, but I'll take the word for it.
Good stuff. So moving on from that comparison, and the sort of overview of product and why you would use it, how you would use it, and the overall picture of how cost effective it is and how long it lasts. We then get on to, I've seen a lot of questions on how to order, and there were some questions that came up there about size. So strip this right back, first of all, in terms of grouping it into 5 different elements that you need to consider. And then we'll look at some typical institutions, and then we'll look at the resources that are on the LNPG site, and then the Wolseley hubs that you order from. So just working through each step. But first of all, you need to be able to plan the bathroom. So first of all, you would start with a corner profile. We show 2 here, our sort of traditional internal corner, and then this flush corner. It's a difference in aesthetics. The only thing with the flush corner is it's reversible, so it's shown this way around at 90 degrees, but the outside is finished as well, so you can use that as an external corner. So it's quite a versatile profile if you wanted a squared corner profile there, and you see the panels just coming out of either. So you would choose one you want. That's the best starting point. And then you work from there on which type of panels you're going to, and when I say which type, you get unlipped, which are shown here, just with a square cut edge. And you get the hydrolock that I mentioned, where the panels interlock for a really discreet and watertight connection. So for the unlipped ones, where you would use them is they're mainly in a shower enclosure, so less than 1200 mil wide is, or 1200 and less is ideal. Just get a square edge panel, it's going to come out of the internal corner, and then you're going to put an end cap on the edge. And if you've got a corner enclosure, that's all you need, plus the bits at the bottom. If you're going wider than 1200 mil, that's when hydrolock comes in. So if you were going along a bath wall, if you're doing a walk-in shower, or if you're paneling all around the room, that's when you start to use hydrolock. So then you think about corners and end caps. If you were doing that simple 2-sided corner enclosure, you would have your unlipped panel and then the end cap just to close off the exposed plywood edge. If you had a recessed shower enclosure, you would use an external corner. This is a rounded one shown here, or as I mentioned, you can use the flush corner, which is reversible for a squared off 270 degree corner. There is tolerance in the 90 and the 270 degrees as well, again, to accommodate imperfect site conditions. Figure out from there, how many panels you need based on the 1200, 900, 598 width, whether they need to be squished for enclosure and end capped, or hydrolock to continue a run of wall paneling. Work corners accordingly, and then that's you sorted vertically. So then what you need to think about is what you do at the bottom. Sealing this product is obviously the most important to ensure that there's no trouble further down the line. And there are 2 main ways of doing this. One, if it's over a shower tray or over a bath, we have this flexible movement joint seal kit profile. So you get 2 lengths of this PVC strip, as well as a mitre block, the sealant, everything you need to cover a shower tray or a bath installation. If you're fitting in a wet room, you would tend to keep the paneling off the floor by 75 to 100 mil, just in case there's any build-up of water. There shouldn't be, but in case there is, it's best practice to do this. And to that end, there's a base profile, an aluminium profile, where the panel just sits on the wedge there. So you've figured out your starting point, your panels, your end caps or corners, what you do at the base, and then you've got your adhesive and sealant. So our high grab adhesive is you'd use normally around about 1 tube for every panel. Then we've got clear silicone as well as white or coloured. So the clear silicone you would use within the aluminium, the vertical profiles and the hydrolock joint. And it's 1 tube to between 2 or 4 profiles, depending on which type it is. If it's the internal corner there, you've got 2 channels to fill. If it's an end cap, you've got 1 channel to fill. So that's why it's roughly between 2 and 4. At the base, you would, based on your preference, either use white, or we do a light grey, a dark grey, or a cream. So you could use that to run across the base. So those are the 5 main elements. Then we give a bit of guidance on if it's a two-sided enclosure, over bath, all the elements you need. So you'll find that here on the LNPG site. Then if you've got an odd layout or room that's not covered by one of those, you can then use the guide in the previous slide to think, how many panels do I need, so on and so forth. And also on the LNG site here, you'll find this matrix of all the decors that we do with unlipped and hydrolock, edge details, the 1200, 900, 598 width, all the part numbers to order from Woolsey, and grayed out all the prices. So when you'll get your prices, it's grayed out because, to Anthony's point, the prices are very well supported and really keen. So for the purposes of the presentation, they're grayed out, but log in and you'll get your well supported prices. You've got the profiles and the adhesive down there as well. So useful resource there. So there's guidance then on what you need, typical installations, part numbers and pricing to be able to do your own quote, or head to your Woolsey hub and they'll be able to order. So the part numbers are all coded on the Woolsey system. All 23 hubs have the product on display, samples, and are well versed and knowledgeable about it. If they don't have samples able to take away, you can order them from us directly, samples@multipanel.co.uk, also on the LNPG page, that address. And then we'll arrange delivery, normally 3 to 5 days for most core lines into these hubs from one of our 9 distribution centres. So that's it on how to order. Hopefully that answers some of the uncertainty and some of the points that I'd seen on the Facebook channel, and makes it nice and simple. And then we get on to designing.
I know I do want you to get to this bit because this is the sexy bit. I've been looking forward to this bit, but I just wanted to ask before we go on to that, what is the delivery times for multi-panel from these Wolseley shows?
From the Woolsey showrooms?
Yes.
So typically most lines are, 3 to 5 days from us into the Woolsey showroom, but I guess it's next day from there. So allow a week and you should be all right.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
Okay, so design inspiration. We've invested a lot in the look of the product, and just even, of course I'm going to say it looks great. Yeah, I've been working here for 15 years, like pretty passionate about this stuff. But look at the image on screen there. That's not cheap plastic paneling as a budget alternative. It's a real quality product that's going to last and really looks the part. So that's for that reason that Linda Barker agreed to partner with Multipanel and really get behind the product as a whole. And from a design perspective, it keeps going from strength to strength. And something that we developed last year on the back of a new website launch was this online bathroom design tool. So there are 3 different room sets you can choose from. And you go from blank canvas and all the dots there, you can choose your own panels and come out with a nice high-res image of what it's going to look like. So I'll quickly link into this and just give you a demo of how quick and easy it is to use, how user-friendly. So choose from the small, medium, or large. Go large. And then you'll see there you hit the plus, and I would go Linda Barker collection. I really like the concretes, so you pop that in there and then select your next one. it's still there. So I would do the wet area in the concrete elements. And the neutrals collection that I mentioned, rather than doing a full ream in concrete, some might want to do that. The neutrals collection, you'll see the palette here, is absolutely designed to pair with that. So we've got some top pick combinations, and it would be the pebble grey that goes with the concrete elements. So again, pebble grey there, and same again there. And you could either do that all along that wall or go back to having a bit of a feature behind the vanity. So go back to maybe the concrete elements there, and the neutrals again along these walls. And add the flooring, probably add a grey timber to go with that. And very quickly, you've got a really good idea of what that looks like. You can just as easily go in and change that to see what it would look like with another feature panel. But in the interest of time, I won't keep playing about with it. You can find it on the Multipanel site, but it's soon going to be on the LNPG site as well. So once you've done that, you can, as you'll see, you get a link to order your samples and save image. Save it downloads a high-res image to your hard drive.
You know what I love about that, Michael, is that is such a great tool to be able to visualize how the panels are going to look. And you've done the whole room out in grey. It looks like the inside of a breeze block. All those colours just gone to waste there.
That's why we've got it, so that boring people like me don't just keep choosing grey. And there's over 50 decors to choose from, and Multipanel all supported on LNPG. But yeah, I'm over 50 decors. I would go for one of the 50 shades of grey type of thing.
Yeah, but in the summer, he'll put green in. He's in Scotland, it's always
he'll
grey
rip it back out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's in the we sort of did a run through of this beforehand. He did grey then as well. So yeah, my advice to any landlords watching tonight: use the tool and experiment a little bit. Experiment. Don't just do grey. It looks lovely. Don't get me wrong. But
how are we getting on with the questions?
Yeah, there's absolutely loads of them, Nick. So one that came in a little bit earlier on, actually, which I've lost now. Oh, here we go. Is there any tile effect styles?
So, good question. There is, and actually there's a number of different ranges of wall panel that we do, and tonight I'm focusing in on our core range that's got the plywood core and the textured laminate face. So that's our classic, our heritage, our neutrals, and our Linda Barker collections. However, we do a tile effect product that's thinner, 3mm thick. I know some members have used it. I've seen it on the chat. And at 3mm thick, why that's really useful is you can just bond right over the top of the existing tiles, and it's not encroaching so much into your space. So how that tile effect panel is made is it's a solid grade laminate that's 3mm thick, and the tile effect, you get brick effect, you get a sort of traditional 30 by 20 tile. It's pressed into the surface of the laminate to give the impression of grout. So that's totally waterproof, really effective overclad and quick refurb. The reason I say good question is we've got that as a current solution, and we've got something else coming probably towards the end of the year, more likely January, that will do everything that I've mentioned in the core range: Hydrolock, FSC certified, ply, but it'll look like a tile as well. So watch this space. Maybe we'll do another webinar if we're invited back around the end of the year to introduce that one.
So this is a new product?
Yeah.
It will be. It's in development. It's in development at the moment.
It didn't come from me.
I didn't know about
it. First time ever. I knew about it.
Did you?
It wasn't me that opened my mouth. It was him. I was getting into trouble.
I stumbled on that one well.
Yes.
This is a good question,
Yeah.
Ralph. Do you lay the floor, the tiling or the vinyl, whatever you want to put down, before or after the paneling?
So if you're, with the way the question's phrased for tiling or vinyl, I'm going to assume that's around a wet room. And you would tend to fit with that wet room base profile. You would do your flooring first, come up the skirting, fit that base profile into the wall, and then panel down on top. If it's a standard bathroom, it kind of depends what's coming out and what not. So if you're paneling around the bath or over a shower tray, and you're just going down on top of the tray or the bath, you don't really need to worry about that. If you're stripping everything out, then you can go flooring in, leave a perimeter depending on the type of flooring. If it's vinyl, you need an expansion gap around the edge, and you could drop your skirting on top if you're going to do that, and then panel down.
Okay. So yeah, we've got more of a comment here from Neil, but it was something I thought earlier on. I thought maybe is it too much of a stupid question to ask? So Neil said, just renovated a property and my joiner fitted it for the first time and said it was brilliant, which is great. But my question that I didn't ask earlier on was, how do tradesmen get on with this product if they've never seen it before? Because I know it's very popular up north, it's very popular in Scotland, but down in, I don't know, Luton, they may have never seen this before. Are they just going to throw it out the window, or what sort of resources do you guys have to take them through this?
So I suppose the first comment from the joiner is that they got on really well with it, and that's the typical experience that people have when they use it. But in terms of resources, you saw the animation at the start. That answers quite a lot of questions on what you do with it. There's an installation guide that takes you through step by step. But another thing coming soon, another sort of exclusive announcement on this webinar, they're coming thick and fast, is we're developing a portal for installers to go through some sort of training presentations and sort of seminars, and they can kind of check off once they've gone through each stage. So for absolute assurance, that would be the way to go, and that's something that's in development at the moment. We'll probably launch in a couple of months. Okay, lovely. Well, I'm going to keep asking questions if you're going to keep coming out with new developments. I feel like you're making them up on the spot now.
It's so refreshing. It's not me hanging myself coming out with all these things. It's normally I come off the webinar, I get Paul and Anthony going, Nick, why did you tell him that?
So
I think it's really good though. I love this design tool because you can use it on different colors. You get a feel for it when you've seen it. And don't forget, it depends what screen you're looking on, that it can be slightly different. Yes. So
you're never going to get a color match.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to put that out there, but at least you get a feel for what the room's going to look like, whether it's going to get closed in with darker colors or you need to open up if it's a small space. Yeah, absolutely. And then, as I said, you've got the backup at your Wolseley hub and the free sample service direct from Multipanel.
Yeah. But if I'm going to let you get on, Michael, but just because you mentioned the hub there, someone mentioned earlier on, one of the hubs I went to was fantastic. Another hub I went to wasn't that good. Now these guys have just been launched. Give us the feedback at LNPG, and we'll be, all over it, educating them about exactly what we do and who we are. And Michael, in a previous conversation with us, has also mentioned that he's going to get his own team speaking to the hubs as well to make sure that they're equipped with everything that they need to do with regards to multi-panel. So don't
forget also, Anthony, Dave Woodward's on tonight and Jonathan, they're just watching, so they will pick that up again. Just to let everybody know that we jumped from 50,000 to 72,000 pounds last month, and that was the first month, and we've got a few little issues, but very few issues. So if you have a problem with any of the hubs, please contact us. Dave and want the feedback, but also the good feedback as well. It's been going exceptionally well. And like you said, Anthony, was that Michael will be going round, their account managers going round to each of the 23 hubs to make sure that they're advising correctly and about multi-panel and going through the deal that we get through multi-panel. And if there's any issues, we'll pick it up from there. But it's gone really well.
Yeah.
And that's hard work down to
Absolutely.
as well.
100%. I'd love to go around all 20 myself and spread the word, but I'm not allowed out of Edinburgh as it stands. So the team are in touch with these showrooms regularly, but are going to be following up after tonight, just to ensure that everything's clear in terms of the LNPG support. So we moved on from the interactive tool where you can either make a grey bathroom or be a bit more adventurous. But if you are stuck on grey or just needing a bit of inspiration, what we've done in partnership with Linda Barker, or she's done for us basically, is she's created these mood boards on exactly what you would do with 10 of the 13 panels so far in her collection. So this is just taking a few seconds to open up, and it will give a little bit of food for thought on just the types of things and a look that you can achieve with it. Just a second.
Internet's going slow in Scotland.
I was thinking that. His computer sounded like it was going to take off when he played the video earlier on.
Yeah.
All right, while we wait for this, because this question's come in twice now, how is the product with underfloor heating?
Well, the core product you put on the walls is, I take it the question's about our click vinyl flooring. So, which I'm not really focusing on tonight, but on our vinyl flooring, it'll withstand underfloor heating up to 27 degrees on the thermostat.
Okay. And there was another question as well about ceiling as well, which I know is also not your focus, but they've asked, can use the product for ceilings?
It has been done. It's not recommended by us, but we do, and for the simple reason that one of these panels weighs 25 kilo. So whilst we've tested our adhesive, and that's why it's linked warranty, we've not done it on the ceiling. So we've got a lighter product for the ceiling. Talked about the difference in durability between our plywood core panels for the wall and PVC panels, because if you knock your elbow against a PVC panel, you're going to knock a hole in it. That's obviously not going to happen on the ceiling. So we do have a ceiling range that is PVC, tongue and groove installation. You can just bond it up and it'll stay up. And whilst it's in the focus of tonight, the ceilings and floors are listed and are supported on the LNPG as well.
Two questions.
Two
questions coming in. Sorry, had you finished that? I thought you'd finished. That's why I jumped in. Sorry. Have you finished, Michael?
No. I was just going to say, I think.
What have you done, Nick?
I only asked a question.
I might need to forget this, loading this.
Michael, your internet's a little bit up and down at the minute. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear, yeah. Still, yeah, everything's still connected. That's just be going slow, but yeah. I can hear everything.
Question, is the brick your paneling or is it a tile?
The brick here is actually exposed brick.
Yeah. And another question came up No, that's fine. It's not a panel. And the other one was because of COVID-19, is there any supply issues?
No, there were a couple of teething issues as we got used to working under social distancing guidelines back in Q2 last year. But raw materials fine. We're used to working this way, so no.
Yeah, everybody likes the brickwork on the bathroom. I actually like it. Come on, Darren, Michael, sorry, let's get a panel done. Looks like that.
Yeah, I'm not talking about hanging yourself. I'm not going to commit to tonight to a panel that looks like So what I was trying to load was just a series of these mood boards that give a little bit of design inspiration. What we'll probably do is post it on the Facebook channel tomorrow, and we're working on the updating the content on the LNPG site, so it will follow there as well. So worth a look, because it's got 6 of the best kind of mood board through to finished room sets on it. So what's new?
Yep. I'm going to shoot off to another presentation to do, so I'll let Paul and Anthony wrap up. Just like to say good night to everybody and have a great evening. Yeah.
Cheers, mate. So yeah, I've got 2 points on what's new, other than through conversation some of the other things that we've thrown in and wasn't necessarily planning to talk about this evening. But one thing that I absolutely was planning to announce here is that we're a matter of weeks away from doubling our warranty from 15 years to 30 years. So everything that I mentioned about the quality of the plywood, the raw materials, the precision of the hydrolock joint, if there's a perceived risk around installation, it's not real. This is easy to install and seal. So we're backing that with 30-year warranty.
Is that retrospective?
Sorry?
Is that retrospective? Will that cover maybe a panel that was bought last year?
No, it will be from purchases from the date of announcement.
Well, presumably before. If it'll be before the 1st of April, presuming we do our LNPG special offer.
Say that again, Paul.
I'm assuming that the extension on the warranty to 30 years will be before the April special offer that you're doing with us. Yeah,
it will be. Yeah.
Excellent.
And yeah, and that's it. There's going to be additional support throughout the month of April, and an extra incentive promotion as well. So further details to follow on the Facebook channel. So that pretty much wraps it up for us. Been a good amount of questions so far, and welcome any more.
Of course. So one of the things that came up a little earlier on, you used the design tool to create that lovely grey effect in the bathroom, which I personally thought was fantastic. But a couple of the members have gone off on their own and they've thought, oh, I'll give it a crack myself. But they can't see the bathroom designer on the Multipanel website. Is it on there, or will it be added soon?
It's on there. It's on. First of all, we need to. There are 2 websites we have. Panel.co.uk is the one that it should be on, just in case anyone's on Grant Westfield. But if you're on multipanel.uk, then on the top navigation, there's something called Bathroom Planner. That's it.
Okay. I think it probably worked. Oh, here we go. Ah, yes. Someone's just put a link to the mood boards in the chat already. But it'd be nice to get the design tool added to the Facebook group as well. I'll link to that tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, I'm just having a quick look through these questions, see which ones have been asked and answered already.
While you're doing that, Anthony, oh, go on, if you found one.
Yeah, so is there much batch variance in the product? So if you order a sample, how different will it look when you order the entire board or 12 of them?
There can be very slight variation in tone from one batch of laminate to another, but the minimum run that because of the volume of panels that we go through, the minimum run, production run on any decor is about 3,000 sheets. So you'd be, hugely unlucky if on one job you got a mixture of those. It's really not something that we ever come across. It's a non-issue because of that bulk production. And on the point on samples, will that match the actual physical product? Again, it's likely that the sample will have come from the same batch of laminate that we're producing at that time. Because we go through an unknown amount of samples. But one thing to watch for in samples is to have a look at in the brochure. You'll get a feel what a full-size panel looks like, and on certain decors, say this one that we're looking at actually is an example. It's our salvaged planked elm. You could get a small credit card size sample. That's this part here that looks like really dark timber, and think that that's what your whole panel's going to look like. Whereas actually there's a real variation in tone there. The same on some of the concretes. So that's the only thing I would say about the sample is you could have a section from a light part of the panel and it could be darker or a different tone elsewhere. So that's where the design tool comes in, because that gives you a good feel for what a full-scale panel is going to look like and where there's major variation in pattern across a full 8x4 sheet.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Particularly, I mean, with that one, it's quite obvious. You've got the sort of yellowy look, and then it goes over to dark browns and greys, and really, it's just common sense. If you've got a darker bit, then it's not going to display the whole panel. A couple of questions about repairs. So repairs to pipes and cartridges and that sort of thing behind the panel. How would you go about doing that?
Behind the panel, these with the high grab adhesive, the panels are really not designed to be removed. So it's not a case of kind of leveraging it off, being able to get in and doing some work and popping it back on. So the honest answer is you're not going to need to remove and replace a panel, most likely. Okay.
And what sort of, how big of a job is that, replacing a panel?
Well, you saw on that the cost comparison that you could do all around the bath in half a day, including removing the tiles. So popping a panel off, even if it does take a little bit of plasterboard with it, which it's probably less likely to than individual tiles pulling it off that have potentially made the plasterboard wet behind. Even if it did take a little bit off, the structural properties of the panel will be enough to actually bridge that. So you're talking less than half a day, a couple of hours probably to pop it off, fit the new one and seal it.
And I think final question for now is, do you need to seal round openings for pipes, waste, etc.?
Yes, that's a good question. So on those 5 core elements I mentioned, and in the animation I mentioned sealing at the vertical joints and at the base, but around any apertures, drilling for pipe, yes, absolutely, you should seal it.
The question I was going to ask was, if you're doing it for the first time, for example, I've used panels in the past, and walls are never true, and you've ended up with a slight gap like that, you know, a V shape, albeit an extended V shape where it doesn't quite fit it together. Would you be better off, if it's the first time or you're uncertain about the wall, to study it out?
Yeah, I think we've mentioned a couple of times in the slides that the Hydrolock panels will take up to 6mm tolerance and still be fitted to flush over the top of that. So it's taking a view on is the imperfection greater than that. And the other thing that we'd recommend on that front is just to dry joint the panels if you've got enough floor space to do it on the floor, just to ensure so you've got confidence that they are engaging first of all. If your walls seem within that 6mm tolerance, then absolutely go ahead. If you're in any doubt, however, and like you say, it's almost coming to a V shape. No, in that set of circumstances and site conditions, you should strap out first and then bond to that.
Cool. Thanks, Michael.
Okay.
I really like this one from Ingrid, just before we move on, which was with regards to the question I had about repairing pipes and cartridges behind the panel. She's asked, can you make an access panel inside of the panel and seal it? It
can be done. We actually used to have a kit where you could make your own, but nobody ordered it. So
make your own access panel.
We discontinued it. It had everything you need to cut out from your own panel and seal it securely. But let's just say it wasn't as popular as it might have been. But it can also be done with the use of our extrusions or end caps mitered at the corner, and you can create your own access panel that way, yeah.
Okay, lovely. So I think there's probably a few more that I've missed out because they're sort of all over the place. I'm really surprised at how many questions we've actually had tonight, Michael, because I knew it was a bit of a, let's say, a shadowy product. You know, the big question I always get when I'm talking to landlords about this, I'll suggest multi-panel. They'll say they're doing the math, and I'll say, are you going to use multi-panel? And they'll say, oh, that sort of thing. My tenant could put their elbow right through it. So it's just, I'm so glad to have you here tonight to take us through all that. If you've held this stuff, it really is solid, isn't it? I'd like to see someone put their elbow through that.
If they were, you know, and did their best, their elbow would come away with a sore elbow and the wall panel would be intact. If they did to a PC panel, both their elbow and the panel would be a mess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think it's been absolutely fantastic tonight. I've really enjoyed having you on. There'll be a couple of questions, I always say this, there'll be a couple of questions that I'll fish through tomorrow morning and send you over. So if you obviously mentioned you'll be on the Facebook tomorrow with a couple more resources, but if you wouldn't mind just answering a couple more tomorrow, I'll get those posted onto the Facebook video as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So thanks again for the invite, and everybody for taking the time out tonight and for asking so many questions. Hope you found it useful. It's been good to do it, and yeah, absolutely look forward to answering a few more.
Brilliant. Thanks, Michael. So next week then, we have got the guys from usehammock.com. Hammock is a sort of property management tool that Paul introduced us to recently. So they took us through, thank you. They took us through how exactly to use the app, what it consists of, everything that it does. And the fact is, I'm not qualified enough to take you through it. So we've got James on, who's going to give us a 60-second elevator pitch. What is Hammock and why should our landlords join next week?
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Anthony. Yeah. So yeah, I'm James from Hammock, and yeah, next week we'll be giving you our webinar. So our CEO, who's a guy called Manoj, he's worked in prop tech for most of his career. And he's also a portfolio landlord who felt he was spending too much time on admin, like I'm sure most of you do. So 2 years ago, he decided to start Hammock, which is the property finance platform for landlords. But like, what does that really mean? Well, as I say, most of you probably spend your time updating spreadsheets, checking your bank statements, have tenants paid, what are my expenses, etc. With Hammock, you don't need to do that because we can connect directly to your bank account. So Hammock tells you when your rent's been paid, when your mortgage has gone out, and actually we'll even notify you when your rent hasn't been paid. We'll give you your profit and loss per property. We'll track your arrears per tenant. And we'll also give you reminders about expiring documents like insurance, gas certificates, that type of thing. And then because we're tracking all your finances, come the end of the tax year, everything's ready to go to file your taxes as well. So next week, Manoj will be giving you a full demo of Hammock. It's going to be very interactive, show you how it works, answer all your questions. Hopefully we get as many as we had tonight. And then obviously, as you're all LNPG members, we've also got a really special offer just for you guys. So yeah, hopefully see as many of you as possible next week.
Brilliant. Thank you, James. Look forward to that. And if you've got any questions in the meantime, Paul Hilliard is the man to go to because he's recently got this himself. You got anything to say, Paul?
Yeah, obviously I've been working with James to trial it. I mean, what I love about it is that it gives all the regular payments are analysed and allocated as soon as you spend the money in your bank account. So, ticks the boxes. You can almost do monthly P&Ls for each property. So, and the great thing is that come 6th of April, you press the button, and during April, straight after the tax year is finished, you can produce your analysis by property, and it's ready to send to your accountant. And so there's no lastminute.com like panics like I usually have. So I'm very impressed with what I've seen and what I've tried, and we're doing a few tweaks to make some adaptations because I'm over analytical, so we're seeing what we can include in those. So yeah, definitely worthwhile tuning in next week, and we look forward to seeing James and Manoj next week. And yeah, and thanks again for Michael Dobson for a brilliant one tonight. So excellent. I think I'm more sold on Multipanel than I was previously. So I appreciate that.
And if Hammock can get you organised, it can do it. It can do it for anyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks again. See you soon.
Good night, everyone.